Paul Quinton. Paul is a master channeler and healer, and Paul grew up in a spiritual psychic family. He's been involved in the esoteric all of his life, which has allowed him to fulfill his soul's contract as a healer, teacher, channel, and writer. Paul has patented a new modality insured in 45 countries, which will be accompanied by the release of his channeled books through Spirit's voice, assisting humanity, making our shift into the new Earth's golden age as the renaissance of consciousness establishes itself. Paul assists souls to assist themselves, transforming human conditioning. Being trained in numerous healing modalities has assisted Paul to bring through the alignment modality, his alignment modality. However, his greatest teacher has been Spirit. They have provided him priceless information, knowledge, and awareness of the world we live in. One of his greatest gifts is being able to channel, speaking with Spirit via his soul. Through his downloading process, Paul has learned much of what he teaches. So I'm so honored to introduce Paul Quinton. I just love everything that Paul does. I was listening to some of his channeled messages last night, and for me, it just feels like coming home every time I hear them. So I give it over to Paul.
Thank you, Lydia. Lovely to meet everyone. It's nice to be a guest on here. So basically, just a little bit of a background. You pretty much got my sort of preface from my book. So it's cut and pasted. So basically, I've been involved with, I grew up doing sort of seances, and we did a lot of rescue work when I was a child with my family, because there are a lot of healers and psychics in my family. So we would, we'd have a sitting seances like on a Tuesday night, and we'd bring in stuck souls. And so this was sort of how I started. And then we went to the sort of spiritualist church where, I don't know if you've been to the spiritualist church, but you have a reading, there's a channel up the front. So it's very different to your normal church. So that's sort of how I grew up with it, and then sort of moved into my sort of 20s. I did a lot of different things. I was traveling, I was working on cruise ships, I was in the military, and there's only in sort of early 2000 I sort of came back and started doing this work full time. And it was only probably about 6 or 7 years ago I started rechanneling, because I was coming back more into my soul body, and that was obviously one of my soul contracts, is to do that work. And so basically I've written a few books. I'm in the process of getting them published. We're a literary agent at the moment. Obviously COVID stopped everything, slowed everything down, so it's just taking a bit of time, but things are picking up now, so they should all be coming out. And the modality that I'm teaching is a channeled modality, and this is what actually Spirit have asked me and one of my other colleagues to teach. She's brought some of the foundational work through. I've brought a lot of the other stuff through, and this modality split over 4 modules, and the 4th is sort of practitioner level. So it can be attached to any other modality that you do, or it can stand on its own right. So basically what's happening now is Spirit trying to remove a lot of the misinformation that has been in our New Age movement as well, because actually what they're talking about now is this oscillation therapy, oscillation and energy moving, because what's happened is everything's become unilaterally polarized, energetically in our emotional bodies, in us, at the soul level, it's blocked. We have this huge amount of inadequacy that they're trying to help people release, and I'll talk about that a bit later. And basically what's happening is that they're trying to get people to stop trying to be spiritual. They're trying to make people human, because we're already spiritual, already multidimensional beings. We already exist on every density and different consciousness. And they also want us to get out of this concept of sort of that we need to ascend somewhere, because we're already ascended, because we already exist in what we call higher planes of consciousness. So they're actually saying they want us to be human now, and then be able to manifest. So what's happening is they need to align the emotional body. And the age that we're in now, in the beginning of this Aquarian age, is we have to become conscious of the unseen world. Obviously the extraterrestrial life, but more importantly, we have to clear our emotional body and our ancestral line. So a lot of the work that's coming through now, some people like myself is doing it, are working at that level, obviously bringing the shadow energy up, which is our denied, repressed energy. And we work very much a lot with the subconscious to clear out all of the soul's shall we say, story that's affecting this life. So there's quite a few things included, and they've given us some activations which we used to use back in the temple days in the ancient ways. There's an advanced numerology that's attached to it, which is a healing modality on its own, but it's put into the alignment modality. And then there's a lot of different bits and pieces that we work. We work with the hypothalamus, we work with the pituitary. We're working a lot with the brain, the reptilian brain especially, getting the left and right brain, again, oscillation in the two hemispheres, because what's actually happening now is that the divine algorithm of the 1 and 0, the original algorithm that created our souls, is trying to reconnect onto the earth plane. So we have to have functional receptors to align this energy. So this work is all about that as well. And the Viridian Consciousness that I work with, they're working a lot, they're doing a lot of work with the molecule and atom, not only of the planet, but of our DNA and our consciousness, because there's a lot of inefficient programs that are sort of sitting around our auric field that are sort of blocking that light sort of coming in. So this is really about shifting the old frequency, shall we say, so that we can actually remember who we are. So and this mind complex that they're working on is to get the Meridian System, which is the blueprint of our body. So whenever a soul decides to reincarnate, it will create a blueprint for that country, because every country has a different frequency. And then the soul will then come into the Meridian System. And what's happening now is a lot of the children that have a lot of birth defects now is that actually multidimensional DNA is now trying to merge with our DNA. So what's happening is the body's rejecting it, and it's creating a lot of birth defects, because what's happening now, especially the children that are coming in now, they're they're a lot lighter, they're of a different frequency, they're here to ground the new earth energies. And there's a lot of misinformation going on around there. So we do a lot of fetal work as well, and Meridian System work. But the main thing is this the structure. What they're trying to do is work with the cellular system at the moment, because everything emanates from the cells. So it's quite intricate. And I mean, I don't want to take up all the time, but I could talk about. But that's the basic structure of what's coming through, what we're teaching, talking about, and we're getting people just to surrender to the feminine energy instead of push, will, fire energy. So this is that masculine, and in truth, the masculine energy is sort of here to surrender to the feminine. And we're bringing all the original chakra system back. So we work with the 9 chakras now, which is your soul star and your earth star, because we're plugged into 9 densities of reality where we're living here in this life at the moment, not the traditional 7. Because when we had the numerology came out in the traditional 7, it's where humanity's consciousness was at the time. So even the body of work that we've channeled over the last 4 years couldn't have come through 10 years ago, because the frequency was not there. So even the symbols that we use as well, a bit like Reiki symbols, we have some different ones. The power of them now is tenfold. It's amazing. And so that's the only reason that's happening now, is because everything's becoming sort of malleable now. We're breaking through the veil. So obviously the light is always there. It's just how we access that light. So these sort of opening these sort of doorways up now. And we talk about how the body's a portal. We use the portal system. We will be getting into outer body experiences and in parts of the workshop as it goes along. We're sort of trialing, because we've just sort of released it this year. So basically I'm doing that. I'm doing a lot of channeled work. I have my Facebook group, which Lidia knows. That's where she knows me from. And I do a lot of messages current for the times, and obviously impartial, but they bring up a lot of the shadow energy and the light energy. So it's a mixed bag of information. The ones I have here for tonight is pretty much just messages. There's a couple that have come through, different beings, and they've asked if you want, you can give them your permission. It's written in the message anyway. These ones I channeled only a few weeks ago, so they're quite fresh. And the good thing now is what I've noticed, obviously, I have a lot of spirit in the house, so it's quite common for me. But the thing that I notice now is that human beings are, if they just have that intention and they use their imagination, which is their most powerful tool, because every soul on the planet now is trying to connect with their physical self, their human extension, the person only has to set that intention. And what's happening now, what would take maybe years or months of meditation or healing, can actually be transported very quickly. So they've even given us different systems now to work with, just with feeling. We don't work with belief systems anymore. because and I did a lot of theta healing, which is worldwide, everyone knows theta, and those belief systems they were good, but what they do is they just take you to the sort of subcellular sub level. So if you have emotional energy that's been created from this experience that created the belief system, if you change the belief system and don't take the energy away or transform that energy, it's going to come back. And this is what we've been finding. And this is what, I've been doing this over 20 years, and the frustration of just talking to people, and they say, well, I worked on that. And it's that huge disappointment. Like, why has it come back? So I think we're sort of bridging that now and telling people and giving it in a very simple manner that, well, this is why, this is how you fix it. Very simple, couple of, there's 1 or 2 procedures. And what's happening now since I've been doing this work, obviously I work with all different people, and some very, very intelligent left sort of neocortical people, and they find it too simple. They say, well, how can that work? Because the mind is conditioned to do things the hard way. Like, we have to have all these rules and procedures. So what it's trying to do is it's trying to get us out of our minds now. And this is not about mindfulness. This is about surrendering that mental energy. Because what happens is we live in a magnetic universe. So of course, of magnetic planet. So what we call as karma really is a magnetic pattern. So what you would say a negative experience has occurred, in actual fact, it's your soul trying to wake you up to something that you haven't let go of. So that's why we get caught in this karma. So we draw everything to us. So they're saying that your thoughts, you have to be very careful now, because as we're going through this this doorway at the moment, as Lidia was saying, we're moving into that shift. Our mental energy is susceptible to becoming, shall we say, augmented. So it's going to create very fast what you're thinking. So it's a great thing, because if your energy is focused in the right way, then obviously you can manifest a lot easier. But the main thing is that we don't even teach manifesting now. You do little bits and pieces. What's happening if you surrender to your soul contract? Everything just gets thrown up in front of you, and you actually do less and less and less, because a spiritual warrior stands still and does nothing. They just draw everything to them. And this is what human spirit are trying to get people to do. They want us out of our heads, out of this rat race. And I know I'm not going to talk about COVID. I just want to talk about the positive side of it. That opportunity was for us to reevaluate how we put our energy out into the world. And the best thing for me was the 9-to-5 model has pretty much been slashed in most places. Yes, people are going in like 50% of the time, but that quality of life. And most people I'm talking to now, they've got 6, 8, 10 hours more of their week just from working from home, better relationships with their families, their children. So, that positive energy that's so strong there. And obviously the news has all been focused on the negative, but that's a great thing. And that was that reevaluation, because I still get people like freaking out what's going to happen. There's that fear. I say, actually, it's not, because actually, if you go underneath that, the love and the light that's coming on this planet is extraordinary. And it's a beautiful feeling, and there's not one doubt, even when I was a child, I must have been about 5 or 6, and I used to stand up with my grandfather and I said, the evil will not win this time. Obviously, that's how I worded it, because I was only a child. But what I meant is what's happening now is in that the light is just coming, and it's washing this planet. And because we've done this cycle, and the Matrix was very good. When Neo went for the second time, I think he said, "You're the 18th time you've been here." It's because we always go around those great falls, and there's a little message in the channel messages about that as well. So this is a time to embrace. It's a fun time. It's an extraordinary time, and Spirit said to me very clearly, we've got another year and a couple of months probably for this chaos, but obviously in chaos there's transformation. So, and that is the great thing about it. So I just thought I'd want to share that. So I don't know how much time I've got, Lidia, so I'll just read off these couple of messages, and then you can
we have time to take your time giving us.
I didn't know how much. Yeah, that's fine. I'll read off a couple now, and then we can sort of talk about it.
Can I just ask Paul to speak a little slower for this old brain of mine? I'm trying to take a few notes, but I'm trying to digest it too. So if you could just, hopefully we're not in a rush, because Paul, I love what you're saying, and it's so meaningful and so inspiring, but just a little
slow it down a bit. Yeah. Well, when I read now, it's quite slow anyway, so I go into a subdued state.
So let's all just take a nice deep breath. And thank you for that, Paul. And that was so much, there was so much revealed in everything that you were saying. And so now we're all just going to sort of recenter with Paul and listen to what his channeled message has to say for us.
Yeah. Okay, so just briefly, so the Viridian Consciousness is they're a frequency that I work with, and they're part of my soul body. And I also they're bringing sort of the mental perspective through. Like I said, they're working with the molecules, the atoms, the mental energy, but also channel Algorians. They're the raw feminine energy, and they're from the star of Algor. And Algor was depicted in the old days as the Medusa head, because it was that sort of fear of male energy fearing the feminine. Because the spirit had been very clear. They said raw feminine energy, there's nothing stronger than that, even masculine energy. So it was quite funny. So yeah, so it's washing over us. Okay, so this is through the Viridian Consciousness. Okay, so moving forward, soul path. Many of you are experiencing a paradox of consciousness, a to and fro analogy, if you like. You are all in a river of expression that can be likened to an undercurrent of water, where you seem to be still on the surface, but in the depths there is movement. And if you don't swim in the right direction, you can be pulled in all directions, leaving you feeling like you've just exited a washing machine. Sound about right? Now, to swim in the right direction, you just need to feel what's pulling you underneath. Which way is the tide moving? Do I swim in that direction, or do I panic and leave it to fate? And this analogy is presenting itself now on a global stage. And more human beings are starting to feel the undercurrent. The vibration is speeding up, and no one can deny this any longer. You are all starting to experience your shadow selves as they try to rise to the surface, bathing in the sunshine on the surface water. But many on the planet don't want to look beneath the water. They are scared of what is lurking on the ocean floor. Now, if you feed a shark, you can swim next to it. You have acknowledged its craving, its temperament. You have nourished the shark, and in return, it will not bite you. So your shadows are asking you to nourish them. And in return, you can feel safe around that which is denied. It won't bother you anymore. As we have mentioned in previous channelings, fear is looking for love, its opposite buddy, which is love. Love and fear are the same consciousness at different ends of the spectrum. So fear wishes you to love it, to embrace it, to not deny it any longer. It no longer wishes to be part of your experience, and from the heart of fear, it implores you to release it, so it may move on. You are not your mind, you are not your belief systems, and you are certainly not your physical beings at heart. It's time to embrace these fundamental truths and do yourselves a favor and let go of the illusion that you are less than, that scarcity exists, that there's something wrong with you, and that you need someone to take care of you. The only person who can do that is you. However, you need to be in alignment with your soul. Otherwise, the fickle ego mind will continue to keep you in servitude of false belief. And the denied emotional volcanoes are just waiting to erupt. You just need to make this decision right now, this minute, and watch the synchronicity of life unfold. So that's a little bit about the message I was trying to say, is that just that surrendering process and being, and I'll just say briefly, the best way to do it is just, obviously there's inadequacy and lack of self-worth is at the base of most human beings. And the only way to get to self-worth is through self-acceptance. And the only way you can accept yourself, and this is not believing what other people say to you, what they tell you about you. This is about accepting where you are in any given moment and what you're feeling in any given moment, and just accepting it. So if you wake up with anger, you just need to close your eyes, you need to breathe into it, and you need to use your imagination, because this is what Einstein was talking about. It's the doorway into the unconscious. This is how you get results. And you imagine it with no attachment, and you just thank it. You thank it because if you didn't feel it, you couldn't resolve it. And you give it love because that's the only frequency you can transform with anyway. And you heal yourself in that moment. And the results are amazing, because most people can walk around all day with that anger. And this is the difference between letting it go in 5-10 minutes to a whole day of it. Because if you think about that, these emotions are trying to release themselves, Because what happens when we feel these feelings, our mind gets attached to the story. We think we're less than, we're worried, we get angry, we play more into the story, and we come out of alignment. And this is that mental energy I was talking about. And that's what spirit are talking about. This is what they're saying. This is the most dangerous thing for us now, because we are trying to stay in the story and not acknowledging the feeling in the moment for what it is. It is just there to release itself. It's come up as a gift to you. So we're trying to reverse all that. And, some people live in that, but then, they click and, oh yeah, I get it now. And it's the transformation is almost instant. And the difference is amazing. And the great thing about the frequency of this work is you have instantaneous shifts going on, especially in one that's here like now. I'm not talking about the mainstream person on the street that doesn't believe this type of work. Obviously for us, it's different. But this work will work for them as well, because I've even been instructed to make it acceptable, plausible for people on the street, so everyone can start to, come into this field of reality. I think it's reality. So, all right, I'll move on. I'm going to move the next message, and I've got a lovely one from Gaia at the end. I love channeling planets. They're very different sort of personalities. Okay, so this comes from the star Andromeda. Now, Andromeda is one of the first seeded races here. Andromeda, which were the ancient Mayans. Now, they haven't been very much instrumental. They're just starting to come back now, and they're sort of the keepers of the esoteric information that human beings have access to. So we are seeking an alliance with human beings, so they may participate in what we call a blending or merging of consciousness, to merge our unique divine expression with yours, so we can assist you to release the imprint of the Great Fall. And we hold the Great Fall imprint in our throat chakras. And by doing this, you are able to release the 3D imprint of despair. We are working in the shadow in a way to assist the cellular energy that has been depleted over time in the human race. We are seeing trauma surfacing on a monumental level across the globe, and people are suffering because they do not know why they feel most of their pain. We feel that many people would benefit from an understanding of polarity. That polarity is not in full swing within most human beings, and people's belief systems that have kept them safe are now coming under the microscope as a non-serving reality. Some people are feeling the exhaustion of believing their beliefs, but have no other place to turn. So we would like permission to merge with individuals and provide this support. We are asking humans to invoke us in their meditations and give us permission to release misinformation from their cellular bodies. Human beings are not aware of the tremendous wave of light that is about to wash over your planet. And we ask that human beings be conscious of how they are made up, and not to deny any longer that they are feeling beings. And to repress feelings is to repress your natural, agile selves, which can only lead to more suffering if continually denied. We are coming back to you as a support network, and all you have to do is ask. We were in Egypt in the ancient years, instrumental in scribing the cellular diamond code. And when we say diamond, we mean transparent, fluid, ethereal. Because your cells were at optimum power and great communicators of universal language. We are preparing cellular networks to come back into alignment with the ancient days, and we are honored to connect. Okay, and this is the last message I've got for tonight. So this is a message from Gaia. I want you all to pause for a second and remember me. Within your souls, we are one. You have fond memories of me within your hearts and souls. In actual fact, we are connected in more ways than you can imagine. You actually have a contract with me that assists each other on our journey through the light, through this universe of experience. We share the same thread of consciousness as we journey forward into many realms of possibility. I want you to sync my heartbeat with yours, to extend your emotional body deep into the center of my body, and let me nourish you, hold you, Embrace your vulnerability. You are all scared to find sanctuary in my arms because you have been led to believe that my body is disposable, that I am just rock with no feelings or emotions. Just like some human beings believe my animal kingdom have no feelings, and so the abuse towards them continues. It's now time to come back into the womb of your physicality. I want you all to imagine you are a tree with a strong trunk, with huge branches moving out in every direction. Then I want you to ask the spirits that live within the rock to ground you, to nourish your emotional bodies with the etheric nutrients, the pure life force of vitamins and minerals your body needs. By the way, they are severely inhibited with modern day farming. As they replenish the etheric body, I want you to imagine moving into a field full of whatever crops or flowers your imagination wishes to show you. And then I want you to call forth the Fae, the elemental energies, asking them to work with you as you sleep, but also as you walk in your day-to-day. Now, the soul has long yearned to reconnect with its physical extension, with my inner realms, because you know deep down that this gives you peace, freedom, health, and happiness, which I say is lacking in humanity. This is a time of remembrance, a time of connection. You'll notice the elementals, my inner realms, through your dreams, your imagination, on your walks through the country and the parks, even your gardens at home. A flicker in the corner of your eye, a leaf on a tree that is flapping whilst the others are all still. I am strong as you are. Furthermore, I can handle your emotional output. In fact, I assist you to feel in your human body. But you have lost all connection to your mother of the bodies. And I want you to also lie on the ground and feel me through your spines. Through this exercise, I will bring grounding so you can feel safe in the shift of consciousness and the light coming on the planet that can then safely enter your auric fields. I will clear you of the toxicity if your intention is to heal. The toxicity of your emotional and mental energy that weighs you down. The fatigue in your physical body needs an outlet. So feel the soles of your feet when you stand barefoot or within your imagination in meditation. See and feel the energy leave your body, entering through my surface deep into the center. You are all worrying about me, but I assure you I have plenty of love and light around. I want you to focus on your own lives, your own health and well-being, and to start nourishing your bodies with healthy foods, blessed foods. Keep your bodies alkaline so life force can move through you with ease and grace. The alkalinity keeps your body clear, allowing information from the light to easily ground within you. If you are feeling insecure at this time, sit with the feeling and just imagine my love wrapping itself around you, and I will be there. Trust this simple process and you will start to remember me. So I thought that was a lovely message. So yeah, it's
magnificent. I could really feel all of that. Thank you so much.
No worries, no worries. Thank you.
Just the opportunity for you to share that and connect with our true power, which is our connection to the elemental world, to the spiritual world, to our infinite self, is how I feel secure. You know, I feel secure when I feel that connection and the knowing that I will always be okay because I'm part of this infinite oneness. Is there any questions, comments? Anyone want to connect with Paul about what he's discussed today, or what you may be going through and how Paul can assist you? Let me open up the gallery so I can see everybody here. Gallery. Okay. Oh, wow. Another deep breath after that. Yeah. Thank you so much. Anybody want to put their hand up to enter into dialogue?
Oh, that's a question.
Oh, Lynn, go ahead.
Hi there. That was so ridiculously lovely. Thank you.
Thank you.
And
Bless you.
here's a quick question. One of the things you said, and you said so many things, I'm so hoping I can sort of hear it all again someday.
Thank God it was recorded.
Yay. You said surrender to your soul's contract, that's really all you need to do. And here's my question for you. Do you have to know what it is to surrender to it?
Very good question. This is where the mind comes in, which is a great question, because the mind wants the facts and numbers. Now, this is a great question, because it's actually something that I did say, which is fundamentally important. The hardest thing that we're going to go through right now is trusting to surrender. Now, what happens is that unless we're really psychic and we can look at our own, or we talk to very good readers and they can say, well, look, when a reader reads something, they'll say, because that's part of the soul contract. So it's already laid down, and that's how they can see, because the soul says, I want to do this at age 40, for example. So if you stay on path, you'll achieve that. And that's why a reader can read 20 years, 30 years before. So that the soul contract, what's happening now is they just want us to surrender into the moment. So they want us to, this is the way they said it, they want us to come off the horizontal line, because they said when you're plugged into this linear timeline, 20, I've got to be, I've got to get my first job, I've got to pay my uni fees off, I've got to get married, then I've got to get my mortgage and all this. And this is what they said is actually what kills us, because we're plugged in. And what happens is expectation gets put on that timeline. And that Spirit said, and it's not out in the medical profession, they said this is actually which kills us slowly. It's actually a silent killer, because it depletes the cells, because you're not following your soul's guidance, you're following what societal programming has done. So what's happening now is getting people to surrender, and then it just falls in front of you. So an example, since we've done the workshop, people are just dropping their jobs straight away. Money's coming in for investments. They're opening up new businesses that they didn't even thought they were doing. I had one lady the other day, she says, I've just opened my shop, sent me a picture. I said, I don't even know what just happened, because what happened is a soul just took over and it just made it happen. And now she's having to catch up and go, all right, okay, now I'm physically here. And everyone experiences it differently, but it's the magic, because your soul is going to give you the most powerful, potent life force energy it can give you. That means manifestation. It means the right relationships, the right business, the work. So as soon as you can free yourself up and just be in that moment, and then all you need to do is just work on those feelings. Like I said, just use that color technique. And the more you do that now, things will just start to fall in front of you. So you don't need to know. And the soul doesn't want you to know, because it wants you to trust, you see. Especially as self-employed, you're always worrying, where's the money going to come from? How am I going to do my business? And that's where you learn to trust, because you have to. Otherwise, you sit there in fear and worry. Yeah. So, and it takes a little time. It's a little bit of rapport to the process. But, I can speak hand in hand, from my own experience, but also, obviously what I channel and who I talk to. And that is universal law. And they've also said very clearly that if you put an image into action, like you're manifesting, and there's no fear or worry about what you're visualizing, under universal law, it has to manifest. So what we're also remembering now is what is our own unique divine power. And that's the only way to feel that, through the soul body. And the soul body you will end up taking a seat back. And it just manifests.
It's very freeing, really.
Yeah,
right?
Yes, absolutely.
Because especially someone like me who feels I have to figure it out, and then I can sort of make it all happen. But the idea of simply accepting it's there, and I don't have to know it, but just surrender to it, and then
Yeah, and the main thing is the expectation, because you're manifesting, you're thinking, right, that's the best business model. The soul's going to come and say, no, we're not doing that. We're going that way. And you're going to go, oh, panic. I've just put all that time in. But that different path is going to give you a much better lifestyle anyway. You just can't see it. And this is where we kind of come out of that tunnel vision, because we focus on, that end game. And they want us to stop that. And coming back to that horizontal, they want us to come vertical. So vertical means being able to receive divine current in the moment. When you receive divine current in the moment, not only do you get healing every day, you get psychic awareness, you get your intuition, you get synchronicity, You start to manifest different people around you, better people that they're going to support you, that are going to help guide you or whatever, or they'll become parallel with you to support you on business, and they just all just flock in, and it's amazing. And then you go, oh yeah, I now understand what magnetics means because you're just like, it's sticky to you. Yeah. It's just, no worries. It's just getting over that trust period. It's just,
Well, that was very insightful. I think all of us have been, our life has been governed by the paradigm that the intellect reigns supreme. And part of the paradigm shift is to bring in the other aspects of ourselves. So we have the physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, and now is the time for that to all be awakened and activated. And that's when we talk about wholeness and manifesting from our soul. Is from that place of wholeness and integration, which is a path of personal development. It's a path that now is the time really on the planet. If anyone really wants to know who they are, we have the greatest opportunity with this influx of high vibration light particles that will continue to bathe us right through to 2100 and beyond. But yeah, soul-based manifestation is, it takes some time. It takes some time to trust, to release the intellect. And then, as Paul was saying, surrender into the universal energy that will always be safe. You will always be safe and secure in the infinite universal energy, because we're the one within the oneness. Any other comments, discussion for Paul before we move into our meditation? Baraka, what would you like to?
A quick one. So remember in the 80s when the harmonic convergence first started, Paul?
But vaguely, yes.
Okay, and then it continued.
Yes.
So
I was in my 10s then.
It was
I'm only
splitting
45.
coming together. I missed you. I'm trying to make it fast. So I didn't hear what you said to laugh. Tell me. What did you just say?
I lost internet.
Time lapse with the internet cutting out.
Yeah, cut out.
Okay, so that was in the 80s, and the whole idea was that the crystal vibration was what we needed.
Yes.
We took it for like 2 centuries, and we saw what was happening with this convergence. It wasn't like we were going to have this bliss peace. We first had to go through this explosion and this terror thing and rise above it and not be defined by it, but yet it's in everybody's life. So now we move into the age of Aquarius. So how did we merge from the one to the other? What was the merging time, how we feel now, where it's just like not really knowing, not really having had the direction, and then being right now in a place of sort of in between, where things can be created in the in-between world. It's a more powerful world, the in world. It's between sleep and wake, but where all the changes that happen in that in-between world. But where are we as a global consciousness between that first age and the age of Aquarius? Is it just a matter of the days passed and we entered it? Or is it a matter of going through the physical things and then we enter it? Is it?
Yeah, well, there's a couple of things. Obviously, the wind up started in the early 1900s, which is where all the technology came. The 60s was the freedom, obviously breaking away. Each decade had a lineup. Now, the 2012 window started around 2008 and started in 2000, finished about 2016. So it was actually an eight window. Everyone sort of focused on the 12, but it was actually 4 years before and 4 years afterwards, roughly, where things were starting to speed up. So what's happening
Really speed up.
is, yeah, absolutely. Well, time left our vibration in 2016. Saturn released it, so we're no longer plugged into linear time. That's why, like a week feels like 3 days of the old days now. It's like you don't even know. It's another world. So what's happening is that we are shifting but the tear, like we're already phased into 4D, we're already getting those principles, they're already there, absolutely. But what's happened now is because it hasn't been done before while we've been alive. Normally there's a great fall or flood and then we redo it. It said, you know, this is not perfect, and we're watching it and monitoring it. You know, there is a lot of unknowns. What they are saying is that they're waiting for humanity to acknowledge the unseen world. They're waiting for for new leadership, and also working on themselves individually. They don't want us out in the shopping world anymore so much and all that stimulus. They need us to come within, because that way what happens is human collective consciousness then shifts. So the answer to your question is, we could have had that 10, 20, 30 years ago, but we weren't ready.
Right.
And it may take another 10, 20, 30 years. So we're in, and you're right, we're in between, but what's actually now on us. And Spirit said, we can't come in and save you because you will not learn. You know, there's many talks about
now
that.
The lessons are going to be really tough.
And that's what they said, the veil is come now. So you've got the light and dark or shadow energy so close that actually now it's actually becoming so overt that it's, you know, there's so much hypocrisy in all the news. So even the mainstream people going, there's something fundamentally wrong here. And that is the gift to, yeah, exactly. Because even the people that would deny that before can't deny it any longer. So what they're doing is they're giving us all of these tools to see it and then go, oh, now I get it. Right, we need to make change. So they want us all to come together. So there's no sort of set time, but you know, this is why us talking like this, getting that word out, teaching it, and educating people. Thank God, when I say God, but thank the universe that there are a lot of positive energy moving in through all of these organizations now, corporate, government, military. So they're the ones that are sort of defining it. Yeah.
We have jobs here as light workers, and our job is to help other people see, but we have to also be able to see and get ourselves to where we can do that.
Absolutely.
So we have to work together, maybe.
Absolutely. But we have to fix ourselves individually, because then when you fix yourself, you're a clear channel, your cells change and you hold the frequency. So you can affect 1,000 people in a day by just walking down the street, because your energy is emanating. So you work on yourself, you're healing the planet, and that's what they want us. Because everyone says, well, how can I help? I'm a nobody. No, you work on yourself and you're helping lots of people. It's that's the beauty of it. We can work with power.
Exactly, Paul and Braca, what is happening on the planet, and that there's no insignificant person and there's no insignificant action, and so whatever work we do on our own self-development, it's now magnified in the intensity of the high vibration light that we're living in. And many people have asked me over the last year or two, well, Lidia, what are you doing about, the world circumstances? What are you planning on doing? And I say, I acknowledge the external reality of what is happening. I'm not in denial, but my focus is my own healing and personal development, and continuing on my soul path, like Lynn was talking about, soul contract, and having that relationship. And in a way, I've been very fortunate, because I've had dreams, for 40 years about what I'm supposed to do. And Lisa interviewed me on this, so she's very familiar. She did a wonderful Divine Prosperity Conference. If anyone's ever interested, you could put the link, Lisa, if you'd like, to that wonderful conference and the follow-up, where I discussed how I was inundated, with dreams about doing what I'm doing now. And I didn't plan for that. I just became a clear channel. It's quite simple, as Paul was saying earlier. So we need not fear, as Paul is saying, even though, there may be a scary monster at the door. It may just be like, a 5-year-old kid, having a temper tantrum.
Or it may be the whole money system.
Well, the systems are going to be changing, but our ultimate role is to ground ourselves, and just to complete what I was saying, so we can move on, is to, it's okay at this time, and it's very important, whatever inner work you do, whatever self-development work you do, in order to connect with yourself and be able to be a clear channel to receive intuition or guidance, or however you want to sort of define it. And that's what I call conscious leaders. Conscious leadership are those of us who are interested in our own self-development and healing, and how we can share that with the world, even if it is within a small circle of family and friends. And that's very powerful, and that's very significant. So anybody else want to share anything? We have a few minutes left. We want to have a bit of time for our wonderful guided meditation from Richard Gere, and I will share energy with the group as well. Anything else for Paul? Oh, Lisa.
Just a huge thank you, which I'm sure you'll get by everyone, but I'll throw it out now.
Thank you, Lynn. Thank you.
Thank you, Lynn. Thank you.
Lisa.
Yes, I just have a quick question, and I think we can get clarity maybe offline too, but I have two of those children who came into the world at this really special time, both with health issues and both with, learning disabilities. And my son also, I believe, has the gift of seeing and understanding the other worlds. And, I guess I'm not that advanced, like I can tap into divine and stuff like that. But I guess I would love to hear if there's resources to help my children to really fulfill their soul contract, or the language to teach them.
Well, are you asking this? Is this places you can go to? You mean,
They
or
will come.
Yeah, like resources to help teach them what I can't teach them.
right? Okay, yeah. Well, for children, yes. Well, I mean, for me, because obviously I don't I work with kids sometimes as well to assist them. What I normally do is I would, if I was working with you, I'd tune into their soul, I'd do a channeling, I'd talk to them, I'd ask what's going on, what they need, and I talk directly to the souls, but also do a channeling. So I normally do it, it's more sort of bespoke. At the end of the day, for someone in the house, you just got to encourage them to keep talking about it, what they're seeing. It's believable, not an invisible friend. Get them to write it down, get them to write down their feelings, get them to express, give them lots of color, let them choose their clothes, let them choose where they want to go as well. Don't put too much rigidity into their routine. Keep it as wide as possible, because you want that creative energy to come in. And then you can talk. I can teach you how to talk to their soul. It's very simple, and it's very powerful, because the human will always come into alignment once you talk to the soul on some level. They'll change behavior. They'll give you an answer that they wouldn't normally give you. It will change their DNA, their frequency. It's amazing, and you use that on adults all the time as well. You get answers to things that are, So for me, on a personal level, but I mean, there are the Steiner schools which they use here, which are all about getting the children to think and feel. There's a lot of right brain creativity. So if you're thinking on the school level, the Steiner schools, and I don't know what they've got in America now, but I'm sure there's very similar ones. I think Steiner's over there as well, because I do get asked that question a lot. But also a lot of spiritual people that I know now, or human people becoming spiritual, are doing home study with children, and that's okay as well, because they can keep a nice balance of creativity as well. So at the end of the day, it's hard for as coming from a human perspective as a mother, because you get into, are they going to be okay? That natural instinct kicks in. These children are, as you would say, different or dysfunctional, or whatever they want to label it, because you should never label, because the frequency here is so dense and they're so high, their vibration, that it's hitting them, and they're not programmed in the schooling system, because the schooling system's trained to bring that left brain in. These are right brain, or they're beyond the brain. They're bringing pure consciousness in. So it just doesn't fit. So they just don't see it. They look at it and they go, I don't even understand what that means, even if it was very simple. So this is why they get ADHD and learning disorders. And it's a massive label, and it's terrible. So I think you just need to encourage them. What will happen is they will naturally start to, if they feel safe at home, they can express their vulnerability and sensitivity then they will naturally come into their soul body much, much easier. If that's shut down, which it does, because a lot of parents go into fear, or to put them into counselors or special schools, and it's like a prison for them, because their energy is so big that and they get conformed. So to be conscious on that level, and everything will naturally happen. Again, we don't have to do it with our minds. We think we have to, and again, it's trust. I get it. And as coming further, I can, you're going to worry, you're going to have that natural human reaction, which is completely normal. But there's nothing wrong with them. There's nothing wrong with them, because whatever the soul is doing is coming here to work out its own karma, its own magnetics. We don't have to play the societal role that we have to be there to protect them, to do that. We make sure they're good for life, but they've got their own stuff, and they will do that regardless of you. So you can be there, but not with that intensity, and it takes a while to break off. But when you do, and they've got the space, you generally will see them growing to amazing human beings. And that's all they need. They just need your sensitivity, your vulnerability. They need your understanding, and they need their space to be weird, if you want to call it that, and not go, right, shut up, don't talk, that's stupid, why are you doing that, go and read a book. That sort of condemnation is going to shut down that energy very quickly. And what happens is they get very flustered by it, because they don't understand that intensity. Because as human beings, especially as adults, we get frustrated. We can be quite harsh. And for sensitive children, I'm not saying that's you, I'm just generalizing, but because they're very sensitive, it can really affect their cells, and then they can get, they can shut down. And this is where you've got your sort of spectrum of autism as well, because they just, the frequency is too dense here, and it's very hard for them to vibrate. So part of them shuts down. And again,
Paul. So thank you. We're just running a little short of time, but thank you for that. Yeah. That was magnificent. And I'm sure it's touched many people who are listening with us today. So thank you, Paul Quinton. That was spectacular. We have it recorded. And hopefully I'll get my upload speed in order so I can send it out. I've been working on that for a year and a half, but it is saved, and hoping to be able to send this out to anyone who is interested. So I'm just going to stop the recording. So shall we record the meditation? Anybody want to record Richard meditation? Let's do that. Let's record that. And Paul, would you like to put in and also Richard, if you guys would like to put into the chat the links of where people can get in touch with you. I know both of you do incredible healing work on the soul level with individuals, and I highly recommend everybody have sessions with Paul and Richard. I'm not sure what happened. Jenny, did you put your hand up? Did you put your hand up, Jenny? Somehow my screen just went blank. Can you guys hear me?
No, I'm good. No, I'm good.
Okay. My whole screen just went totally scattered, but I don't have 100% internet. So, and just on this note, I know we're running over time, but on this note, some of you may know I am a co-author in a wonderful new book called Evolving on Purpose. And it's a wonderful collection of short stories of personal healing and recovery. And every author has a chapter. And the name, when the publisher approached me, just the name itself was so in alignment with who I am. So anybody that's interested in participating in our book launch, I have the link in the chat. And I also have the link in the video, in the chats for the launch video. So me being a non-tech person, I'm going to try to share that link so we can watch the launch video, which is perfect to end our session today about transforming, lead into gold, right? We're here to be bridges, right, into a greater vibration, from bridge material, spiritual, a bridge old beliefs to new beliefs. And so that video, that launch video, is very representative of that. So without further ado, are we going to get ready for our meditation, Richard? Richard? We're going to do our meditation. Our guided
You're on.
meditation.
Yes. Okay, now I'm on.
Richard.
Now I can.
Richard's already
Now you can hear
started.
me.
Richard's already started.
Absolutely. I can't give if I don't receive. You know?
Okay. All right. So the meditation, Michelle, is about 5 minutes. Maybe, I know we're running late.
5 minutes, fine.
So we should be done the latest by 5:10.
No
Okay.
problem. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Yeah, I always respect time. Everybody has time, things happening, myself included. So again, thank you, Paul. That was so, what can I say? I'm just so honored that you shared all of that with us today. And
Thank you.
Richard
Thank you.
is going to now lead us through a 5-minute
Mhm.
guided meditation. And while he's doing that, I'm going to channel Reiki to everybody. So let's all take a nice deep breath. And I'll hand it over to Richard.
All right. So you can sort of regard this as an internal massage, you know, or as a deep, warm bath into the world of vibration, into the world that's underneath the mind, the emotions, the 5 senses, the desires. A place of pure presence, a place where we just receive this completely free gift from the source. The job is simply to allow ourselves to focus into it, to experience ourselves as vibration, as pure substance. In the East, they call Satchidanand. Sat is just
When he come-
beingness. Chit is consciousness, and Anand is bliss. And me, feel, to experience ourselves as that vibrating conscious nature. Is bliss, and it can start out when we feel it, automatically transmit it, you know, by doing nothing but feeling it, and then it can be directed. All kinds of things can come from, but we're letting ourselves, the feeling affects us. We're being caught up in the endless mental, how do I do this? Is that the right idea? And we begin to let go and to open up to the riches of the spiritual world, and to riches, receive, to simply feel, to allow ourselves to let go of everything that has been, you know, concerning us, and to begin that we are one with a perfect intelligence. We are one with an endless fountain of fulfillment. We are one with all power, and that we belong in this time-space movie, that infinite bath of pure beauty that is within us, that is us, as us, that is behind the personality, and that beautiful place inside wants to run the personality, wants to move the personality in a place from within, and that we are the luckiest and the richest of beings. Just receiving, just by emptying our hands and opening them up so that we can receive. And that the more we give without even people to do nothing, just be listen, be present. Sometimes the best gift we can give to someone is to walk away. Sometimes there's something perfect that wants to come through us that is way more articulate than anything that our mind can come up with. And to begin to get used to the fact that we can base our entire lives on beauty, and that there is an effortless effort. There is an allow, and that we are spiritual trillionaires. We are the inheritors. We are the vehicles through which heaven on earth occurs, just by feeling it, just by allowing ourselves to receive even a fraction of that infinite love that is coming to us, wanting to simply give itself to us. And that's all it's asking of us, to receive, to feel, to allow, to let us fill up. As Paul was saying, that is sufficient magic. That's even beyond affirmations for a particular thing. To come in the last minute, receive something so beautiful, and that by ourselves to fill up our giving the greatest gift we could give. It is a stillness and a fullness that is unlimited abundance within us. At the greatest gift comes, and thanks that we are allowed to receive it, that we're receiving it right now, and that it is ready to fill up our future with itself, which is a place inside everyone else that wants to be touched in that heart place. And we all in that heart place by letting ourselves receive it in our heart place. Let go and breathe.
Thank you so much, Richard. That was very beautiful. So we'll all take a nice deep breath. And a little bit of energy and a little bit of guidance and a little bit of connection, and we can all feel grounded and energized and focused and reconnected with ourselves. So I know it's after 5, so anybody that needs to leave, I completely honor that. I thank everyone for joining us today, each person here, and of course everyone on the planet, but especially everyone here is a high spiritual being here to live through these times and remember who they are. So thank you all for joining us.